My fellow Singaporeans, in this fifth ministerial broadcast, I will talk about the challenges we face as a society and how we must work together to strengthen our social compact in the years to come. The COVID-19 pandemic has raised the stakes. The fall in incomes around the world is expected to be the most severe in the last 100 years. But this is not just an economic recession. It has the makings of a profound social crisis in one country after another. We are already seeing this happen elsewhere. It did not begin with the pandemic. Social divisions were already growing in these countries, but they are now getting even wider. Job and income losses have hit some groups much harder than others. Children without well-off parents are falling behind, with their schooling disrupted and little done to help them. And this is sharpening feelings of helplessness and the sense that the system is stacked against those who are already disadvantaged. And it is bringing long-standing perceptions of racial injustice to a boiling point. Singapore cannot defy the global economic downturn, but we must absolutely defy the loss of social cohesion, the polarization, and the despair that is taking hold in many other countries. Never think these trends cannot take hold in Singapore. There are many societies which used to be cohesive, but are now fragmenting, both in the West and in Asia. No society remains cohesive simply because it used to be. The economic dangers we now face compel us to fortify our society and reinforce the strengths that we have developed over many years. We will redouble efforts to strengthen our social compact. First, we will ensure that everyone has full opportunity to do well for themselves through education, skills, and good jobs. Second, we will boost support for those who start life at a disadvantage so that we keep social mobility alive in Singapore and lessen inequalities over time. And third, we must all play a role to strengthen our culture of solidarity, so we know we have each other to depend on in good times and bad. Every individual must put in the effort to achieve their fullest potential, but we must also take responsibility collectively to help people bounce back from life's inevitable setbacks and make sure no Singaporean is left behind. We doing this through government policies to help those with less at every stage of life, as well as through citizen-led initiatives and communities of care that are growing in every neighborhood. As PM said in his opening broadcast, in Singapore, no one will be left to walk his journey alone. Our first priority today is to save jobs and to help Singaporeans who do lose their jobs to bounce back into work. This is not just an economic issue, but a social priority. We will do all we can to prevent people from being out of work for long, so they can stand on their own feet and retain their sense of dignity. Good jobs are also at the heart of our whole approach to building a cohesive society and tempering inequalities. The National Jobs Council is moving full speed ahead. We will secure the 100,000 jobs and training places targeted by the SG United Jobs and Skills Package that DPM thinks we can introduce. The reality of the matter is that we face strong headwinds. As long as grave uncertainty hangs over the global economy and trade and travel are down, new job openings in Singapore will very likely be fewer than job losses. So if we leave things to market forces, unemployment will rise significantly over the next year, or even beyond that if COVID-19 remains a threat. We are therefore working with companies, sector by sector, to take on Singaporeans through temporary assignments, attachments, and traineeships during this down period. So they get real work opportunities and get paid, and pick up skills while waiting for permanent jobs to open up. The government is heavily subsidizing these opportunities. It gives people far greater benefit when government provides support this way. No amount of unemployment allowances can compensate for the demoralization of being out of work for long. The public sector will also bring forward hiring for future jobs in areas such as healthcare, early childhood development, education, and social services. It will step up recruitment, especially in sectors which earlier had difficulty finding enough Singaporeans to fill up the positions. We have faced conditions of high unemployment before, but we're in a much stronger position to address the challenge today. Twice before, unemployment rose well beyond 6%. In the late 60s, when the British began pulling out their forces, and in the mid-80s, when we suffered a major recession. Our economy is much better diversified today. Our people are far more skilled, and the trust and confidence that investors have in Singapore is much stronger, as Minister Chan Chut Seng explained in the last ministerial broadcast. However, our labour force is much older today than in the late 60s when the British began pulling out, and in the mid-80s recession. In those times, less than 30% of our labour force was 40 years or older. Today, the proportion is 60%, double what it was before. And many of today's workers are in fact 50 years or older. This is why we are making a concerted effort to help our middle-aged and mature Singaporean workers. Most of those in their 50s and 60s did not go beyond secondary school. They had much fewer educational opportunities than today's younger generation. But they are a hard-working and vigorous generation who've accumulated valuable skills and experience over the years and still have many good years ahead of them.